All righty then. Welcome back. It is now time for the Lunch and Learn with your host, my friend, Sir Schmaltz-a-Lot B. Schmaltzy, Tony the Schmaltz, who is going to take us through the steps of creating a profitable virtual event. Now, I don't need to really introduce you beyond that because, I mean, you're here because you know who Tony is. And if you didn't know who he was, you know who he is now. He's one who stands for the greatness in people. He's one who stands for the greatness in me. Tony, for that, I love you. I'd love you anyway, but I really appreciate that in addition to loving you. All right. And with that, Tony, please do take it away.
Thank you, Dave. As usual, I love you too, man. And honestly, couldn't think of anyone better to be announcing everybody in this wonderful event. So guys, as you can see, we're here at this event, this virtual summit. You know, we've got 14 amazing speakers. You guys have been enjoying yourselves so far. We got so much more to go. We're 2/3 of the way there, you know, almost 3/4 of the way there, 2/3. But anyway, so I know there's a lot of people I've talked to in the past, and there's probably some of you here now that are like, I really like what's been put together here. I really like this event. I like the structure, the speakers, the MC. And so originally today I had a different topic in mind. And when we announced the schedule, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give these guys the steps, because it's running a virtual event, whether it's a summit like this with multiple speakers, or it's a 5-day challenge, or it's a 2-day masterclass. Whatever kind of virtual event you want to run, they all have essentially the same steps. And so I don't have a fancy PowerPoint like some of these other folks. I am still going to pull out my high-tech graphics from earlier, like I did, but different words, of course. But I'm going to run you through the steps. And you're going to want to, if you're interested in this, you are going to want to take notes because I don't have the PowerPoint to share. Now, again, those of you will get to watch the recording up until Wednesday. And if you're a Mega VIP, you'll be able to watch this continuously. Speaking of which, if you have, thank you, Teresa. Speaking of which, if you haven't upgraded to the Mega VIP pack, I highly encourage you to do so. And part of the reason I'm really, and even just the recordings themselves. So when we're watching the recordings from yesterday and today in the Facebook group, it is one raw 8-hour recording. Whereas for the Mega VIP holders, these are going to be edited, professionally edited. They're going to be broken down into modules, and it's going to be put together like a course. So you're going to have each individual module separated. So you can just go, boom, I want to go learn about vision, or boom, I want to go learn about Pinterest, or boom, you don't have to sit here and scroll through the whole thing. So that alone is worth it itself. So without any further ado, let me get into the main steps, the 10 main steps of running your own online virtual event. So my high-tech graphic number 1 is the brainstorm and mind map. And so there's all different types of brainstorming. So feel free to use whatever you want, but when you're getting started with almost any project, start with brainstorming. Now, I like to use mind maps, and I'll pull you this one back here. I'll pull it up here for you in a second. But for me, the mind map is you have your main idea in the middle. Okay, I want to have a virtual event. And now you start mapping out, here's the different ideas of topics I might talk about in the subtopics. And so let me grab this for you real quick. So this is a mind map that I did literally just last week. Hush, hush, this is my next book. But anyway, this is the mind map. So we got the main idea here in the center. You've got your main sub ideas, and then you've got all the branch ideas coming off of it. So it's just literally something I sat here and sketched out on a big sticky note, basically. You can do it on a whiteboard, you can do it on a notepad, you can do it on your computer. But you really want to brainstorm first. Lay everything out there. And everything, the sky is the limit. Don't hold anything. Even if your mind is telling you that's a dumb idea, write it down anyway. And the other thing I encourage when you're doing any kind of brainstorming session, and I've been taught this through my over 20 years of leadership experience and leadership growth in the corporate world and coaching, like these blinds behind me, they're shut right now just because of the lighting that would happen. But if I'm doing brainstorming, I got all the blinds open, I got music playing, I'm dancing and moving, because you want all the creativity you can possibly have to come out while you're doing your brainstorming. So just jot down every idea, even if it's just making a list, doing a mind map, whatever you do, when you're first starting, you have an idea of doing a virtual event, just blast all the ideas. It can be, you want to do one on health and wellness, you want to do one for coaching, you want to do one for entrepreneurs, you want to do one for runners, you want to do one for people that wear Nike shoes, whatever. I mean, the sky is the limit. So brainstorming and mind mapping is the first to almost any project, especially when you're talking about a virtual event. And so start with that. And from the brainstorming, before you get into anything else, we start pulling out topics and themes. Now, this is technically still a piece of the brainstorming process, but now we're going to get a little more focused. So like now, like for example, this event is called Upgrade Your Coaching. So when I started mapping out all the different types of people or types of ideas I had, my partner at the time, my business partner at the time decided, and I honed in on coaches. We honed in on coaches. And so that's where Upgrade Your Coaching was born. But we honed in on coaches first, and then we started tossing around different other themes that we could talk about. I mean, if you looked at the list that him and I shared back and forth, this is a 3-page list of different ideas. We're like, okay, maybe these 5 or these 6, but the theme is, and main topic is really, really where you want to go next. And when you get that, start getting that really brought together, and you have those ideas and you start narrowing them down and narrowing them down and narrowing down. And when you're coming up with the theme, it's also incredibly important to do some market research. So if you have, through your brainstorming, you've decided that I'm going to talk to coaches, and we'll get a little more into this. So I've shown you number 2 and 3, you can possibly flip flop one versus the other, but you'll see what I mean in a moment. So when you start getting down into the main topic, coaches, we want to talk to coaches. Then when you're looking for themes and ideas, you want to really do some market research. And it doesn't have to take long. It can be just a few minutes or an hour. I've spent a fair amount of time myself. However, it can be just Google searching. What is it that coaches are looking for? Or life coaches, or, I mean, you can get even more specific: success coaches, transformation coaches, life coaches, health coaches. What is it that they are searching for online? And so I use this event again as the example. You see that we have a mixture of people delivering power as far as helping you become a better coach, become a better individual. And then we have the other half who are trying to help you learn show you how to market, get more clients. And those are the most common things searched for. Some are, how do I become a more powerful coach? How do I overcome my fears? How do I become more authentic? And then on the other side, a lot of coaches, how do I get more clients? How do I get more leads? Those are really, really common. And so that's why we have the mix and match that we have in this particular event. So when you really start getting your brainstorming down, you've got your list of themes, start doing your market research. What are these folks looking for? And then it'll help you narrow down that theme and that topic to where you might actually combine 2 or 3 of them into one. But it'll really help you narrow that down to a real central focus. So next, this is where I said you can possibly put this one before the other one, but they're kind of intertwined with each other. And that is your audience and your message. So we already kind of talked about coaches. However, now what is the message? So how many people who are still here, how many people have heard the phrase target market? Just drop a hand up, something. Right. So I don't discount anyone that uses that phrase at all. We've all heard it. Anyone who's ever studied sales or marketing has heard that phrase in some way, shape, or form. However, I prefer not to use that, because I prefer to use who are you speaking to with your message? Who is your message, or what is your message? Because there's enough folks out there, and not everybody, but there's enough folks out there that get so niched down on their target market that they potentially miss out on X number of rest of the market. And what I've found personally and with several of my colleagues is that your message is important. So your message that you're speaking when you create your videos that Mark was talking about, or you do your Pinterest that Kim was talking about, or you send your emails that Lindsay was talking about, or your podcast Michael was talking about. It's the message that you're speaking that's important. So you do want to have a specific type of person that you're speaking to. Yeah, some call it avatar. Again, I try not to use impersonal terms like that, but it is, people call it avatar, people call it target market. So speak your message. I just say, come up with the message that you're speaking. And in this case, now we're coming up with the message that we're speaking for this particular virtual event. And so if your message, like for this event, the message is become a more powerful coach and grow a coaching practice. Now, again, for anyone who's just been an entrepreneur, like there's many on here that aren't necessarily a coach, they do, have their own business, network marketing, affiliate marketing, whatever, that the personal growth and the marketing applies to pretty much any industry. However, our focus was coaches. So your message, our message is, so if I was to visualize the person I'm talking to, it would basically be me 3 years ago when I really started going into coaching heavy. So I would be talking to that person. So when you're thinking about the message that you're sending or that you're talking to, imagine that message to you. Who are you trying to serve is typically the person you are or were, or even are now. If you're just getting started, you're talking to the things that you're struggling with. And if it's something that you struggled with when you first started, you're talking to that person. Typically. Anyway, so it's generate your message, because when you generate your message, your audience will generate because of it. The people are going to see your message. In my 3 or 4 years of really honing in on entrepreneurship, I have found that when I get focused on my message, believe it or not, I get a pretty good split of either 50-50 or 60-40 people that are outside of my actual, what I would call target market or target message. So it's interesting how that really works. Yeah. Now here comes the fun part. Putting together the plan. What steps are necessary? So this is, if you've, I'm going to drop a shameless pitch for our friend Kellen, who spoke yesterday, but if you have an opportunity, get his book, The Results Equation. There is methods in there about creating what's called a step map and checklists for how to run a project. And so what I mean by that, when you're creating your plan, this is almost like a brainstorming session, but not quite. You got to have a general idea of your plan. And for our purposes here, I'm going to tell you right now, one, you want to decide what kind of event it's going to be. Is it going to be a masterclass? Is it going to be a virtual summit like this? Is it going to be a 5-day challenge or some other version of online experience you want to have, a webinar, etc.? That's one. This is the time to take notes, because this is the one I don't have written down on paper. So one, the type of it. 2, how many speakers are you going to have? Is it going to be just you doing a masterclass? Are you going to have 1 or 2 guest speakers? Are you going to do a full summit? Like one of my recent challenges I did back in May had 5 different, it was a 5-day challenge, but it was 5 different speakers. The previous to that, the last 5-day challenge I did was just me for 5 days. So it just depends on what you're looking for, what you're trying to accomplish. 3, what infrastructure are you going to need? And again, because this is so fresh in my mind, this one here, I'll use this event as the example. So 1, you're going to need some way, shape, or form to deliver information to your audience. And that means, and what I mean by that, let me rephrase that. Some way, shape, or form to send your audience to. And so in this particular case, we have the landing page. We have the page, the funnel where we collect email addresses and phone numbers, names, email addresses, and phone numbers. So, hey, have you heard about our event? Well, no, cool. We'll go check out. Here's the information here. Go to this place. It's not that you don't have to be, you're not that blunt about it, but that's essentially what you're saying. Hey, if you go to this link, You got all the details on the speakers, the topics, what you're going to get. There's a video to watch. So you need you're going to need the technology piece, which is going to be some way of gathering names and to register people, some way of registering people. That's one technology. Next technology you're going to need is some way to respond to these folks, like an autoresponder. The one I use is like what Lindsay mentioned earlier. It's called Aweber. And that's, you can set it up to send automatic emails. When somebody registers, the email goes automatically out. I've also been sending out group emails to people. You guys probably feel spammed by now, but that dies off after today. But anyway, so that's the other thing. You want an autoresponder. Third, you want a place for them to gather. Like, so we have the Facebook group. It's super important because it's, even if there's not much interaction in the group, people tend to feel like that's a place they belong. Hey, cool. I registered for this thing. Yes, correct. We'll get into that a little bit later, Teresa, but yes, you are right. Speakers send out to their audience. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, so you come up with the technology pieces. Those are three primary ones. There's others you might want to do. There's other little subscriptions that I have here or there that I use, but those are the primary ones. Some sort of funnel or website software that you can use to send people to, some sort of autoresponder, which will gather the contact information and automatically send responses. And then you also want a place for them to gather, some sort of group or area, so that's another piece. Next, what do you need from your speakers? What kind of things are you going to need from your speakers? If not your own, if not you, if it is just you still want to say, hey, what kind of things am I going to need for me to present? Am I going to need to put together a PowerPoint? Am I going to need to have information or a free gift? Am I going to have to promote this? I mean, think about the different items now as a speaker. So now you take your speaker or speakers. Here's what I'm going to need from each speaker or myself, and make a list of those. And so you're going to go through these different items of what you're going to need. Am I going to need an MC like our wonderful Dave here? I mean, what am I going to need? You want those different items now from a speaker standpoint. And then you're going to go down the list. And when it comes to executing, do I need to have Zoom? Do I have a Zoom account? Am I going to do this through a Facebook Live? I mean, how am I going to deliver this event? Okay, so now let's say, I mean, there's possibly other items in here, but now let's say we have these things. We have these items, technology. So now, okay, let's say you don't have any of these things right now. Let's say you're getting all these new, you're starting from scratch. Now I go and I get some funnel software, or let's take funnel software. Let's pretend you don't have funnel software. Now your checklist goes from having to get funnel software. Now, what are the extra steps you need underneath your funnel software to do this? So this is where we get to the step map. So funnel software, our website funnel software. Step one, sign up for funnel software. Step two, get pictures to put on there. Step three, record videos for it. Step four, create the actual funnel. Step five, it's each one of those items you want to break down into the smaller steps. And a lot of this, people take for granted the planning. They're like, oh, I'm just going to go in and do it. Well, that's how things get missed. I mean, we've had a couple of minor technology hiccups throughout this, but for the most part, you look at the summit has, for the most part, ran pretty smooth compared to other events I've been to and other either live and in person or virtual events I've been to. So you break those down into smaller steps and you really hone in on those. So the planning stage is probably one of the most crucial pieces of the entire thing. The execute, the build, the stuff we're going to talk about here in a little bit, that's great and it's super important. But if you haven't done the planning correctly and gone through the checklist and the items, then the rest of it, you could be missing things. And when you miss things, you tend not to find them out until it's too late or it's close to too late. And either you're scrambling with like a chicken with your head cut off, or you're stuck going into this thing going, God, I hope nobody notices that's missing, or something similar. And either way, whether they notice or not, you notice. And that's something that hangs on you. We don't want that. We talked about positive thinking earlier and vision. So you don't want that. So that's the planning. The planning is, of all the things we're going to talk about, is probably the most crucial. So you want to spend the most time on the planning piece of this. So the next is the actual build. So this is the actual build where you are building the things that we're talking about. This is where you're taking your plan that you've created, your strategy, and you are actually building. Hang on, my screen's getting this thing. The focus on this camera is really weird. Anyway, so now you're building. Now you're getting that funnel software and you're building your funnels. You're creating the autoresponder email messages. You're creating the email list that you're going to have. You're creating the links between those two. You're creating your list of speakers. You're reaching out to those speakers. You're building the stuff in the background that nobody else sees. This is the stuff that you do before you even mention that you have an event. You might tease it out there. We'll talk about that when it comes to promotion. You might tease it out there. Hey, I'm going to do something like this, or I'm thinking about doing something like this. Just throw the teasers out there. So your audience, either on social media or through your list, like Lindsay was talking about, ooh, what's coming? I want to know what's coming. You give a little teaser. But outside of that, most of this is done before any kind of promotion. So now you start building the background. You made up your mind. I am running this event. This is my theme. This is how many days it's going to be. This is who my audience is going to be. I've created my plan. Now I'm doing my plan. I am running through the list and I'm building this stuff. When you build it, don't believe it. When you build it, they will come. Don't ever let anyone tell you that. It's still work to get them to come. And so that's where, but if you have the plan in place and you have the strategy, you'll understand how to make that work. Yes, it is. It is a damn lie. So the next piece to really get into, after now you've built your infrastructure, you've built your funnels, you've built your thank you pages, you've built your autoresponders, you've created your lists, you've talked to your speakers, you've got your list of speakers now, you've talked to them, you've scheduled meetings with these speakers, you've put together a schedule of what these speakers are going to need, you've put together an agreement of what these speakers are going to do. Yeah, I forgot about that. You want to have some sort of agreement with your speakers too, because you don't want them just out there winging it, and you don't want them out there not helping. So once you've built all that back end infrastructure, that is a huge piece of the load. The two probably biggest thing, or two probably most involved things, I won't say the biggest things, two most involved things are the planning stage and the build stage. Those are probably the most two time consuming pieces, and should be. If you're not spending as much or more time on those two than any other piece of this, I would reevaluate the situation, because there may be something that's missing, or maybe something that's not gonna go as well. Is this making sense so far? Drop me something below. Go, yeah, I mean, I got you, or yes, it's making sense, or woohoo. The fact that you just pulled a Kung Fu Panda is amazing. Cool. So now, like you were talking about earlier, Teresa, you talked about Kim and the list. And so this is all going to depend the promotion piece. So promote. Before I really dig deep into the promote, this is going to go back to the planning stage, but along the lines of promotion. If you're running a masterclass, let's say you're running a masterclass for 2 days and you're the only speaker. If you have a huge audience, like you have thousands of followers on your social platforms and thousands of thousands of people on your email list, cool. Then you can probably just promote some stuff on social media and send out an email and fill your event. If not, let's say same scenario, you're running a 2-day masterclass and you don't have very many followers at all, and your email list is really small, you might have to spend some money on ads. Either way, there's going to be an investment of time and an investment of money, or both. And so to your point, Teresa, if you're running a summit like we're doing now, I literally did not touch a single ad until Wednesday night. I finally turned on an ad, because to your point, and like Teresa was talking about, if you're running a summit now, you're bringing together a whole group of speakers. And one of the things you put into the agreement with the speakers is that they will promote your event. Now, in this particular case, like Michael was talking about earlier, I offered an affiliate piece of this. And so for anybody who sent people here to register that upgraded to the mega VIP package, they get an affiliate fee for that. And so it's always great to offer some sort of incentive to these speakers. Now, the other suggestion I have before, when you're generating your speakers, if you're doing a summit or you're doing a multi-speaker event, even if it's a master class or similar, I would not recommend that, at least until you are making thousands upon thousands of dollars in your events, that you do not pay speakers. If a speaker says they need you to pay them to speak for them, then you say, I'm going to go find another speaker. Speakers should be excited to come to your event because that gives them exposure to other people that will allow them to expand their reach as well. So there should not be any paid speakers, at least until you are Tony Robbins size. Okay, that's maybe an exaggeration, but you know what I mean, till you get big. So the speakers themselves, if you do a summit like we're doing here, put it into their agreement and make them sign an actual written contract. It doesn't have to be long. It can be 4 or 5 bullet points. And, you know, there's, I'm not here pitching you on anything, but you have prepaid legal services out there like Legal Shield or a couple others where it's like $30 a month. And even if you do like a 5 or 6 bullet point contract, you can go, hey, can you take a look at this for me? And they'll do it for free and go, yep. Or here, change this, add this. So cool. You have your speaker sign it. They agreed to the terms and away we go. And so like Teresa was talking about earlier, part of the agreement I had this time was that every speaker would post to at least 2 of their social platforms. I didn't care if they had audiences or not, but I knew most of them did. Post at least twice to 2 of their platforms and send out email, at least 1 email blast to 75% of their email subscribers. And the reason why I didn't say 100% of the subscribers, because if you learn more about the email marketing from like Lindsay, or even I can give you a little bit here, is typically you have different lists of people. And I try to keep my email lists separate. Like the email list that you guys all registered for this, I'm not going to send you something from, you know, some affiliate company I'm working for. No, you guys are only here for this type of thing. So anyway, that's why I said 75% of the list, because usually you can apply this type of promotion to majority of your list, just maybe not all of them, but make that agreement with them. Make sure they understand that they are a part of this too. We are a team working together to make this successful. And for me, the success has virtually nothing to do with dollars. In fact, most of what's coming in this time is going right back out. You guys are, whoever's in the mega VIP, I don't think you guys understand that aren't in it, that the scavenger hunt that I'm going to have the details for you guys tonight. I mean, there's cash prizes. Most of what's coming in is going right back out to you guys. So, I mean, I'd highly recommend getting into that. And all it's going to be is upping the prize. That's why it hasn't been announced yet, because I'm waiting to see what the final numbers are. Anyway, so promote. The promotion piece is important, that you get everybody on the same page, including yourself. Here is one of the challenges that we've talked about with myself. Mark talked about it. Dave's talked about it. Several of us have talked about, is the fear. This is where it is incredibly important not to let the fear overtake you. And the reason I say that is you're going to have what we like to call the hockey stick effect. So for any virtual event, give yourself a month. That's it. Online events, you do not want to do, not like live and in-person events where you give yourself 6 months to promote. No, virtual events, you give yourself 30 days. And in the 30 days, you just start teasing a little bit by little bit in the beginning. The first 2 weeks or so, you're like, every once a week or maybe twice a week, you're like, hey, check out this website. Check out what I got going on. Check out this. And if your speaker's paying every once in a while, cool, but don't hold them to the fire yet, because you're going to have just this little constant incline for the first couple 2 to 3 weeks. And what's going to happen is in the last 7 to 10 days, you're going to go pull the trigger and say, okay, I push the button, go. and you're going to have yourself and everybody involved go promote, 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 promote. And you're going to see that constant line go. You're going to get almost all of your registrations of all of your subscribers within the last usually 7 days. For this event, most of them came in the last 3 days. And that is one of the hardest things for anybody, whether you're a coach, a marketer. The hardest thing is for you to put in all this time and effort into building this entire structure and getting it all ready, and then sit there and watch until like 5 days ahead going, am I gonna get enough people? Am I gonna get enough people? There's only, and then you're sitting here, you're on your phone or on your computer going refresh, 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 waiting to see, is there another person subscribed? Is there another person? This is where, right? You're right, Teresa. But this is where it is incredibly important to be able to overcome that fear. Get into your happy place, like we talked about in the vision method. Get into your happy place. Get into your vision. You know, we've already surpassed the number of registrants for this that I had visualized in my vision, because I visualize every project I do. So anyway, so the promotion piece. Now, if you're going to run ads, first of all, you know enough people just in this community we've created here, this Upgrade Your Coaching, you know enough people here that know about Facebook ads that you can likely get some free help. I will tell you from experience, you are probably better off finding somebody that knows how to run Facebook ads than you are hiring an agency. Agencies, I have dear friends that, even friends that Lindsay and Mark and I that have known for many years, that make a living as an agency running Facebook and social ads. They will be the first to admit they're overpriced. So if you're going to run ads, one, if you don't have an audience, I 100% think you should run ads. Two, find somebody that knows how to do it correctly. Because if you try to run ads to a sale, especially on Facebook, they will charge you an ungodly amount of money. They will charge you like $3 per click. And next thing you know, you'll be in $800 to $1,000. You go, whoa, what happened? I only got 20 people out of that. Whereas if you write the ads correctly about informational with a video for information, maybe a learn more button, then you're going to get down more into the 30 to 40 cents a click. And then it's very manageable. And then you start getting into your thing. So really, really, if you need to run ads or you feel like you want to run ads, find somebody you know that knows how to run ads and have them help you out, unless you already know yourself. But I would avoid agencies. Now, if you're, again, I use the example when you get huge, like Tony Robbins or some of these big guys, cool. Then you don't mind hiring somebody else because you want it off your plate and you want to outsource it and you want to do something else. But if it's your first event and you're just getting started and you don't have the audience and you need to run ads, find somebody that knows how to run even just social ads in general. I would avoid Google. They're even more overpriced than Facebook. So anyway, so that's the promote. So promote everybody who's involved, whether it's people that are helping you out. And this is where it's important for you to reach out to your friends and your inner circle, I mean. And this is the people that always support you. And it could be 5 people. It could be 100 people. This is direct outreach time. This is when you reach out to them and go, hey, this is what I'm doing. Can you please spread the word? And this is not a send an email. This is a pick up the phone or get them on a Zoom and walk them through what you're up to. Here's why I'm doing this. Here's who I'm talking to. Do you mind giving me a hand with sending out a promotion on this? So now you've got the speakers hitting up their audiences and their lists. And now you've got your inner circle hitting up their audiences and their lists. And you're asking them to show up. It's a good way to get things started. And it's a good way to start initially till you get the word spread. So that's the promote. That's the promote. So after the promotion is the actual execution. This is the deliver. And so the execution and delivery is not just what we're going through today and yesterday and today. It's not just us being here in front of you delivering our information. That's not all of the deliver. So like Dave pointed out earlier, what you're not seeing is behind the scenes. And this is part of the planning stage. I failed to mention earlier, is back to technology. Like, we've got 2 Zoom meetings going right now. I've got a laptop over here with Dave's pretty face looking at me. And we've got a separate Zoom meeting, and then I'm looking at you here. And so what happens is, with each one of our speakers, before they come on with you, they've already been over here chatting with us for 10 to 15 minutes so that we can make sure we're all on the same page of what's going on. So the delivery, what you see on the receiving end and what's happening during the actual delivery are different. And like for example, yesterday, I know there were some people commenting in the Facebook group. They're like, I haven't seen the recording yet. I'm like, trust me, I wish I could get it to you faster. It's an 8-hour recording. And when it was trying to Zoom was trying to convert it into a video, it literally, I was up until after midnight last night trying to wait for it to convert. And finally I'm like, nope, that's it. I'm going to bed. I'll do it in the morning. That's the kind of stuff. And so even then, it's those things behind the scenes. It's interacting in that Facebook group. It's keeping communication with the folks that are here. The higher engagement you have with them, it is exactly a green room, Renee. We actually call it the green room Zoom room. So that's exactly what it is. But anyway, so it's keeping that engagement, not only here while you're interacting on Zoom. I agree. You're welcome. Absolutely. And so it's not just keeping the interaction here while we're chatting with you through this camera and through the chat. It's also the communicating. So those of you who have reached out, you've seen that, what myself or other people have either been commenting in the Facebook group, emails that have been coming in. I'm usually responding within a few minutes, or my team's responding in a few minutes. It's keeping those people engaged. And those are the folks. There's been a couple people that sent not so great emails early on in day one. And after a little communication back and forth, they were back here watching the rest going, wow, okay, I'm glad I stayed. It's keeping that communication though, keeping that communication. I watched John Maxwell speak last week, and he said the 100% biggest reason for his success is communication. And he's written several books on communication. And one of his most recent is the 16 Laws of Communication, which is, if you haven't got it, is phenomenal. But anyway, it's keeping that communication. That's communication, and objective communication is a huge piece of relationship building and helping you get to that next level with your audience. Stay in communication. So that is the execute piece. And so the execute piece is everything that's happening that you see here, and everything happening behind the scenes, and everything happening before and after. Myself and my team, we've got 2 to 3 hours of prep before we go live here. And we've got at least 2 to 3 hours afterwards of handling different techie aspects, interacting in the group, the lives that I do, things like that. It's all a piece of this. Now, the good news is that if you spend the extra time in that planning and build stages that we talked about, and where the majority of your time should be, then you've already accounted for this. That you're going to have a couple extra hours for these 2 days. Cool. Get some rest the night before, and plan on crashing hard after it's done. But you'll know about that. And you'll have that piece ready. It's really a huge thing. So the next piece, and you guys haven't experienced this yet, but you will in the next couple of days. This is the follow-up. And the follow-up is partially testimonials, but it's not just testimonials. It's also follow-up to keep that relationship. So you better believe that over the next couple of days, you will be getting emails asking for what you thought about the event and testimonial requests. And it'll probably send you to a Google Sheet. In fact, I know it will. It'll send you to a Google Sheet to fill out a quick survey, which will be super quick. It'll be like 2 questions and ask for a testimonial. So if you're watching, I encourage you to do that, because you would, if you're going to run your own virtual event, you would want somebody to do that for you. This is the way I look at some of these things with people. When people ask me, hey, how do you run a virtual event? And it's one of the people that didn't upgrade to the mega VIP pack or VIP pack in one of my other ones. Hey, how did you run this event? I said, let me ask you a question. Did you upgrade to the VIP? They're like, no. I'm like, well, was it because of the $47? Like, oh no, I can afford that. I'm like, cool. Why didn't you upgrade? Well, I didn't think I needed to. So let me ask you this. If you were to run your own virtual event, wouldn't you want everyone to upgrade to the VIP pack in yours? Whoa, mind blown, mind blown. So it's hard for some people to grasp onto. I was actually having this conversation with Mark Harbert, who did the video, the presentation on video yesterday. Him and I were both at that event last week. He talked about Ray Higdon with the invest, learn, and teach. I have lived my entrepreneurial career by that. Invest, learn, teach. And that was before I knew that acronym that this guy had come up with. Somebody else years ago said, hey, invest in yourself, learn what you invested in, and then teach it to other people, because it's also not only passing the wealth, sharing the wealth, but it's also ingraining it more into your mind by teaching. So invest, learn, teach. And so Mark and I were having this conversation about how every time we go to any event, whether it's virtual or it's live and in person, we always pay for the maximum package. Always, every single time. Even if money's tight for some reason, we still find a way to come through with it. Now, granted, that doesn't seem to be the issue as much anymore, but when we were putting in our hours, putting in our grunt time, we were sometimes scraping, and sometimes it would mean paying rent late to make it to this event and pay for the VIP package. Again, that was in the past, but it's important, because when you start doing the same thing, you want people to attend and do the same thing. You have put hours and time and are going to put hours into the bonuses that come with that extra package, that you want people to invest in that and invest in themselves. The best way for a person to grow is to take advantage of all those bonuses. For example, I mentioned it a couple different times. Yes, absolutely, Mary. Absolutely. I mentioned it a couple times when we remind you about upgrading to VIP. The part of the delivery that I talked about the delivery, is that after this is all said and done, my team and I are going to take every one of these 8-hour videos plus the 3-hour video from tomorrow, and we are going to rip these apart and we're going to edit them. Now, we're going to not lose any content. We're just going to take out like ums and little empty spots. So when the mega VIP holders get these, you're going to get a completely professional edited video or edited videos of each module, and it's going to be in course form. So it's going to be based in a logical order, which makes most sense. And you'd be able to go bing, bang, boom. And that's all hours of stuff that you don't see. You see here, and then you see the finished product. And so it's remembering when you're doing the planning stages, how much goes into this. So anyway, I kind of skipped back to the execute stage, but the follow-up stage, what I was talking about. So always have a follow-up. They like to say the famous phrase is the fortune's in the follow-up. And I 100% agree with that phrase. And it doesn't matter as a coach like Dave and I have been, it's still in the follow-up. Let's say you had a conversation with somebody 6 months ago, and it was a great conversation. Let's say you gave them a free session, and you had an hour-long great session with them. And at the end, or you had 2 sessions, and at the end, they still decided that it wasn't the right time. So what? You still had great conversation, and you still love that person. And then 6 months later, you could give them a call, ring them up and say, hey, would you like to have another conversation? And after conversation number 3, 6 months down the road, they hire you as a coach. That was an easy follow-up that you enjoyed because you enjoyed having the conversation. So the fortune is in the follow-up. So what you'll probably get from us, in fact, I know you'll get the first piece of this, is you'll get some posts in this Facebook group. Hey, what do you think? What did you think about this event? And then you'll get some emails, and you'll get some emails going, hey, tell us what you thought. Go to this link and tell us what you thought. Answer these 3 questions and provide a testimonial. And if you didn't like it, cool. We want to hear negative feedback too, because we can't get better if we don't get some of that negative feedback. If everybody's blowing smoke and going, yeah, we loved it, it was great. Cool. If you legitimately mean that, and that's your authentic opinion, awesome. I love it. Like Steve Crypto was talking about, love the accolades. However, if you did have pieces of it that you didn't enjoy, tell us what those were and why. Because then we can go, cool, noted, we are going to make that better next time. We're going to make that better next time. And then we're going to send another follow-up. I haven't scheduled this one yet, but you will get one probably 2 weeks down the road. And it'll also be requesting testimonials, but it'll be able to be filtered by those who already sent them or who didn't send them, which is another piece of the techie piece. And so you're just trying to pile up this information, and you're doing this not just for future promotion, which it's very helpful for. Having positive testimonials is great no matter what you do, but you're also doing this for your own value and the value you provide others. Let me rephrase that, more about the value you're providing others, because getting that feedback, positive and negative. Positive goes, cool, I'm going to continue to focus on this. Negative goes, cool, I'm going to move some of this over here, or I'm going to adjust it over here. So that's part of the virtual vet. Now, the next piece is, this is the piece. So you've done your brainstorming. You've figured out your theme. You've done your planning. You've done your building. You've done your execution. You've done your follow-up. Now you get to breathe. That one's done. Take a deep breath. Relax. Take some time to yourself. Find that actual legitimate happy place. And then after you've taken that time to breathe, taking a little time, rinse and repeat. Do it all over again. Except this time, now you've got your plan together. You've already built the infrastructure. Now you just need to adjust for your different themes, your different audiences, whatever that is for you. You get to make those adjustments. And you get to move on to the next one. And it's like anything. Now you've got everything documented that you just did. So there's a phrase, and Steve Chandler himself he wasn't the first one to teach me this, but he's talked about it several times since, is what gets measured gets improved. So as long as you've done your due diligence on your planning, even if you have it sketched out like this on a piece of big white paper, you still have it documented. Even if you want to throw that away, take a picture of it first. But you have everything documented throughout this process. And now you can go back and go, ooh, cool. What worked? What didn't? Oh, that really worked. Oh, I'm going to keep that, or I'm going to build on that a little bit. Ooh, that was a little sketchy. Make some adjustments there for the next time. Ooh, I got some way bad feedback on that piece. I'm going to either eliminate that or do some major adjustments. So now you can take what was measured and improve it. And then you get the next one even better. So as this is a lunch and learn, I do have a small offer for you, and it's real small. I'm not going to, I hope, first of all, before I even go into this, did you guys get value out of this? Did you guys actually know the steps now? I didn't go super detailed, but do you feel like you could at least stumble through a virtual event now? I see one yes. Thumbs up. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So I'm not going to go into some right, Renee? So I'm not going to go into some fancy sales pitch like a couple of the other, like Paul did yesterday. No offense. I love Paul. I've known him for a while. You guys have heard the steps I've told you. You've heard the things, you've seen me talk earlier. You're here. You've seen what we've put together. So all I'm going to do is just show you what I got here. And I even upped the ante today. And so let's see here if I get my screen. All right. So this is it. So not only am I going to throw in my multi module package, the plan, launch, and run your own virtual event, profitable virtual event. That's going to be from start to finish. We will break down every piece of the puzzle. You'll get checklists. You'll get done for you funnel templates like the ones you saw here. You'll get all of that. And for 90 days, every other week, you'll get me in a group setting helping you build your own virtual summit if that's what you want to do. So that's part of it. Now, on the flip side, I thought to myself, I want to pour so much value on these guys that it's not even funny. So I said, that's not enough. So I'm also throwing in my Upgrade Your Life course, which is the top methods to find success and happiness you deserve. Each one of these is 10 and 12 modules with sub modules to each one of them. So you're getting 10 modules plus sub modules, plus all the forms, plus all the funnels, plus all the checklists, plus time with me. So imagine now you've got every other week is on talking about running a profitable event. And then every other week in between, we're going to talk about upgrading your life. So yet again, you have an opportunity to get me 4 times a month for the next 90 days. All of that for the low price of $297. Each one of these after this event, these are both brand new courses. Each one of these is going to go for $497 each. They're going to go for $500 each after this event. So yes, you will get swipe files, emails, you'll get agreement, speaker agreement. Yes, all of those are included. So that's a good question, Renee. You will get agreement templates. These are all templates. So the details will be, the minor details will be out, but you'll get templates, you'll get email swipe files, you'll get social post swipe files, you'll get speaker agreements, you'll get copy for the landing pages. You will get the actual landing pages that I used. Now, if you use ClickFunnels, then I will be able to actually share with you the actual landing pages. If you use something else, then you'll get a PDF copy where you can actually go through and build the structure. But either way, you're going to get all of that. Plus me 4 times a month. If you only choose to do one of these 2 courses, cool, you get me 2 times a month. And all of that for $297, which is, if you've purchased online courses before, that is like nothing. And the fact that I'm not here going through a big slide deck of, hey, I should be charging this. No, I just want to pour as much value as I can into you guys. And with the amount of effort and time that I've got into these so far, and that I want to put into you after this, is just a little bit for you guys to be able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Have a little vested interest. Now that if you invest this money in yourself, I have more confidence that you're going to put the time in to make this successful for yourself, and that I have more ability to help you make it successful. The 90 days is just the coaching piece. You get the course. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. The courses you get for life. You get both these courses for life. The 90 days is just the access to me. No, let me rephrase that. You'll have access to me whenever. You guys will have my cell phone number, but the weekly Q&A and coaching sessions around these processes, that ends after 90 days. So courses you get for life, 90 days of me in a group setting, covering the aspects of these courses. And then after 90 days, it's just, you can have access to me through email, through phone, through whatever. So again, anyone who's bought courses before online, this is unbelievable. So I'm going to leave this open at this price until Wednesday, because we're leaving the replays open until Wednesday. I will leave this price open until Wednesday. Wednesday at 11:59 Eastern time, after I close down the replays, except for VIP members, I will close down this price as well. This price will go to $497 each course on Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. So go to upgradeyourlifenow.com and register for that, and we'll see you on the inside. I mean, this is, again, look at what you're seeing this weekend. You will be able to do that yourself with just a few hours, and if you want to run ads, a few dollars. So super easy, time consuming, but super easy. And we'll show you every step by step, every mistake I've made you don't have to make, because I will show you how to not make the mistakes that I made. So anyway, that is what I got. I will stop my little sales pitch there. We have our next speaker, Ankush, is coming on, not until 3 though. So why don't you guys go ahead and take an extra 10 minutes, make sure you're back here at 3 p.m. Eastern time, please. Again, one last time, I'd really encourage you to go to upgradeyourcoaching.com/mega. If you don't already have the VIP package, getting that course is worth so much of it itself. And take 10 minutes. I'm going to throw the music back on, and we'll see you back here when our good buddy Ankush comes back on to talk to you guys about being a 7-figure coach, right?
Excellent. Before you kick the music on though, guys, what you got from that lunch special, please post in the chat the number one thing you're going to take action on, if you're going to take action on it. And if you're on the fence, kick yourself over from inaction to action. Because again, that's what makes the difference.
Yes, very true. Very true, Ralph. Yes, yes, Mary, exactly. Exactly. So, all right, Mary, or Renee, that's a great question, and I'll answer that before I turn off my video and sound. So, the if you're doing a smaller group, if you're doing a smaller group, it is okay to do like the gallery view where you see more. However, we have enough people registered in this where you want to do a webinar view, and you definitely by doing the webinar view where you can't see each other and no, we can't see you. That prevents the mic issues or the video issues from people popping in when you're doing presentations. So it just depends on the size. Like if I'm doing a smaller, like a challenge or a masterclass, I will do an actual Zoom with the gallery view where everyone can see each other. So that's the exception. Larger groups, webinar style like this, where you can't see each other, and smaller groups, gallery view. So all right, music going on. We'll see you guys back here in 7 minutes, or just before 7 minutes.